Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtike. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirviseshasha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Paevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we continue our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text 13. We are hearing about Maitreya Vidur. Why did he leave home? Sa esha dosha purushadvid aste grahan pravishto yam apatya matya punasi krishnad vimukho gata shri tyajasva ashaivam kula laya. You are maintaining offense personified Duryodhan as your infallible son, but he is envious of Lord Krishna. And because you are thus maintaining a non-devotee of Krishna, you're devoid of all auspicious qualities. Relieve yourself of this ill fortune as soon as possible and do good to the whole family. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A good son is called apatya, one who does not allow his father to fall down. The son can protect the father's soul when the father is dead by offering sacrifices to please the Supreme Lord Vishnu. This system is still prevalent in India. After the death of his father, a son goes to offer sacrifices at the lotus feet of Vishnu at Gaya and thus delivers the father's soul if the father is fallen. But if the son is already an enemy of Vishnu, how in such an inimical mood can he offer sacrifice unto Lord Vishnu's feet? So we know that Lord Caitanya, he also had gone to Gaya to offer the sacrifice to Lord Vishnu on behalf of his father when Jagannath Mishra left his body. Lord Chaitanya also went to Gaya. So, but here Vidur is telling to Dhritarashtra that if your son is an enemy of Krishna, then when you leave your body, Duryodhana is not going to offer this sacrifice for you on your behalf. So where will your soul go, you know? You won't be able to get a higher position after you leave your body. So Lord Krishna is directly the personality of Godhead, Vishnu, and Duryodhana was inimical to him. He would therefore be unable to protect his father, Dhritarashtra, after his death. So this is the reason traditionally they would always say, oh, we need to have a son. Why? Because then the son would offer the sacrifice. After the father leaves the body, then the son can offer the sacrifice on behalf of the father to the Supreme Lord. But in Kali Yuga, mostly all the samskars, mostly all the rites and rituals have become so degraded, So becoming a devotee of the Lord is the best thing we can do. That's the best way we can help our father, even our father's father, all the generations. Nrsimhadev, Lord Nrsimha, when Prahlad Maharaj was offering prayers to him, when Prahlad Maharaj told him, you please protect my father. Because Nrsimhadev asked Prahlad, what do you want? Tell me, I want to give you something. Prahlad said, no, I don't want anything. Nrsimhadev said, no, I'm pleased with you. Ask me something. Then Nrsimhadev said, Prahlad Maharaj said, you please liberate my father. Nrsimhadev said, you're such a great devotee that your ancestors are also liberated and your future generations are also so liberated. So if we become a good devotee, we can liberate ourselves. But if we become a really good devotee, we can even liberate our father, our ancestors, and our future generations. So it's beneficial for everyone if we become a devotee. That's how we can actually protect our parents. Because death is sure. Everybody has to leave this world, So he himself was to fall down because of his faithlessness towards Vishnu. How then could he protect his father? Vidur advised Dhritarashtra to get rid of such an unworthy son as Duryodhana as soon as possible, if he was at all anxious to see the good of his family. According to the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandit, what is the use of a son who is neither a learned man nor a devotee of the Lord? If the son is not a devotee of the Supreme Lord, he is just like blind eyes, a source of trouble. A physician may sometimes advise the extrication of such useless eyes from their sockets, so that one can be relieved of the constant trouble. Duryodhana was exactly like blind, troubling eyes. He would be a source of great trouble to the family of Dhritarashtra, as foreseen by Vidur. Vidur therefore rightly advised his elder brother to get rid of this source of trouble. Dhritarashtra was wrongly maintaining such personified offense under the mistaken impression that Duryodhana was a good son, able to liberate his father. So because Dhritarashtra was so attached to Duryodhana, Vidur is giving him the fact. He's telling him honestly, see, your son himself is an enemy of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So his future is very bad. Now, because you're supporting him, your future is also going to be bad because your son is not going to offer any sacrifice to Krishna after you leave the body. So that's why he was saying, okay, you forsake him. Forsake Duryodhana. Text 14. Iti uchivams tatra suyodhanena pravrata kopas sfuritadharena asatkrita satsvrahaniya shilaha shata shakaranuja saubalena. While speaking thus, Vidur, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, was insulted by Duryodhana, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. Duryodhana was in company with Karan, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle, Shakuni. It is said that giving good counsel to a foolish person causes the fool to become angry, just as feeding milk to a snake only increases its venomous poison. Saint Vidura was so honorable that his character was looked up to by all respectable persons. But Duryodhana was so foolish that he dared to insult Vidur. This was due to his bad association with Shakuni, his maternal uncle, as well as with his friend Karan, who always encouraged Duryodhana in his nefarious acts. So association is very important. You know, who we associate, if we are associating with people who do not have good qualities, if they have bad qualities, then the bad qualities in us also will increase. They will be more encouraged, the bad qualities in us. So text 15, ka enam atro paju hava jihmam dasya sutam yad baline va pushtaha tasmin pratipaha prakrityad aste nirvasatam ashu purachvasanaha. Who asked him to come here? The son of a kept mistress? He's so crooked that he spies in the interest of the enemy against those on whose support he has grown up. Toss him out of the palace immediately and leave him only with his breath. When getting married, the Kshatriya kings would take on several other youthful girls along with the married princess. These girl attendants of the king were known as dasis, or attendant mistresses. By intimate association with the king, the dasis would get sons. Such sons were called dasi putras. They had no claim to a royal position, but they would get maintenance and other facilities just like princes. So why the Kshatriya kings could have so many other young girls? Because they were able to maintain them. It's not that they would have relationship with the young girls and then not maintain them and leave them out on the street. No, because the king was capable of maintaining all these so many women. So Vidur was the son of such a dasi, and he was thus not counted among the Kshatriyas. King Dhritarashtra was very affectionate toward his younger dasiputra brother Vidur, and Vidur was a great friend and philosophical advisor to Dhritarashtra. Duryodhana knew very well that Vidur was a great soul and well-wisher, but unfortunately, he used strong words to hurt his innocent uncle. Duryodhana not only attacked Vidur's birth, but also called him an infidel because he seemed to support the cause of Yudhishthir, whom Duryodhana considered his enemy. So we can also try to reflect in ourselves, that is it been that somebody tried to give us good advice, but because we are so puffed up in our own ego that we in fact get angry at another who's trying to give us good advice. That's something we need to look into ourselves also. Because as we say that the divine and the demoniac are within each of us. In this Kali Yuga, the divine and the demoniac both stay in us. So, but who are we encouraging? Is it that when we are getting some good counsel, we are getting angry? Because it's against our plans? It's against my enjoyment, against what I want to do. So I must, so I don't want to hear from the person who's trying to do good for me. And I, in fact, belittle them, condemn them, as Duryodhana is doing. He desired that Vidur be immediately put out of the palace and deprived of all his possessions. If possible, he would have liked him caned until he was left with nothing but his breath. He charged that Vidur was a spy of the Pandavas because he advised King Dhritarashtra in their favor. Such is the situation of palace life and the intricacies of diplomacy that even a faultless person like Vidur could be charged with something abominable and punished. Vidur was struck with wonder at such unexpected behavior from his nephew Duryodhana, and before anything actually happened, he decided to leave the palace for good. So Vidur is a pure devotee of the Lord, so he didn't want to get into arguments or anything, and he used this as an opportunity to hear from Maitreya Rishi, as we just heard. Any questions, comments? Anybody would like to share anything?
Yeah, the thing that you mentioned about the association, that if we associate with bad people. So I just heard in one of the lectures from Prashant Mukund Prabhu that even the food we eat, if that is cooked in a, like if the person who's cooking the food is not in a good state of mind, then that food affects us. Like Jaisa anna vaisa man. So that food will impact our thoughts. And this has happened with a lot of the Prabhujis, because all the sannyasis, when they go at some congregation for other people's house, when the food they eat, sometimes it is not cooked by the host herself, and they ask the maid to cook, but then the maid is in a different state of mind and she's not doing things in a sattvic way. So that food, and then Prabhuji said that I had a bad dream whole night. And I thought that there has to be something, because this has never happened. So the food that we intake is very, very important. And that's why in our Shastras and everywhere they say that we should not eat the food that is cooked outside. We should cook our own food, offer it to Krishna and eat.
Yeah, that's so true. Thank you. Thank you for adding. Actually, one of our teachers in Bhakti Shastri or Bhakti Vaibhav, I forgot. Anyway, he was saying that association is not only with people. Association, as you rightly said, is what we eat, also what we are seeing, because association is through all the senses. So what we are seeing, also what we are hearing, what we are speaking, all that is association, you know. So yeah, if we really want to get serious about Krishna consciousness, serious about getting to know who we truly are, then we have to be careful of such things and engage our senses in the service of Krishna.
Yeah, so sometimes I think it is so much to go. We think that we are there, but we're not there. It's just a journey and we are on the first steps still. So there are lots and lots of steps to go ahead.
Yeah, it is a journey, as you rightfully said. Yes, it's a journey. Each of us is in our own journey. And but surely one tiny step at a time, if we can move forward towards Krishna, you know, that's our, but just sincerely we try to come closer to Krishna, and that's
Yeah.
what.
And also if we take one step, God takes more than like 4 guna हमको mercy देते हैं if we follow Krishna.
Yeah, so true. That's so true. And then the Krishna gives us the strength. The Guru gives us the strength, you know. So we just have to depend on them. Being realistic, of course, because just we are not pure devotees here. We are just trying to, you know, trying to understand a little bit about Krishna, trying to follow the process, trying to hear and chant. And so what we can do is just encourage each other in this journey. And yeah, so that we can all be still on the same path, you know, at whatever pace that we can be, but still be on the path.
Yes, very true. We need to motivate each other. Very, very true. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Gaur Gopal Prabhu would always say one story that there are these porcupines, and when it's winter, so they come huddled together, you know, because it's so cold, so they want to keep themselves warm. But because the pins are pricking each other, you know, so then they decided to go away from each other to separate. But then when they're separated, they're almost dying, freezing to death. You know, so we might have our differences, but we should be together, encourage each other. And then we can face our challenges, face our own desires, which are keeping us here in this material world. It's actually our desires, you know. They are very deep-rooted desires in us. And that's what's keeping us here. But when we associate with each other, we can encourage each other. Oh, have you chanted today? Or have you heard today? Let's hear something, let's chant. Like that.
Yeah, I just heard yesterday also that it's the desires that make us do sinful things. That's the main thing, you know, the desires.
Yeah. Because we say that Maya is strong, but Prabhupada would say, yes, Maya is strong because your what do you say, your cause is weak. Because of our desire to be here, we are still here. And based on our desire, we make the choice. You know, we don't even know. It's so subtle and it's so automatic. We might be saying something, we might be thinking something, but actually what are we doing is because we are desiring it. We might say, no, 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 I don't desire it. It's not me. I'm just doing it because of my circumstance, because this one is telling me, because that one is telling me, because I'm in this situation. But it's, if we just try to become honest with ourselves, we can see it's our desire. Because why another person in the same circumstance, same scenario doesn't act in the same way as us then? You know, because we have a free will, we have a choice. So it depends what we are choosing, and we choose based on our desire. So
And if our desires not fulfilled, then growth, then you get into the anger. So then, you know, it just goes on building up, you know, all these negative, bad qualities.
Yeah, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that lust is the cause. When we are contemplating on the objects, we want something, our desire. Then we keep thinking of something, then we really want it. We really feel, oh, it'll be so good to have it. Then we come to the feeling part, we are going to act on it. Then if it doesn't get fulfilled, we get angry. Then when anger, then our intelligence is lost. You know, we act when we are angry, then we don't have the discrimination to act intelligently. Then we might take some steps, which again puts us in ignorance. And when our desire is fulfilled, what happens? We want more of it. It creates greed. You know, oh, my desire is fulfilled, but we are not going to be satisfied just like that. But why? Actually, why? Because we want unlimited pleasure. We are searching for unlimited pleasure. And that unlimited pleasure we can get only with Krishna. But now, because we are thinking we are the body, we are trying to get this unlimited pleasure from all these material things around us. So, yeah. So that's why we just need to keep hearing and chanting and the association of devotees, you know, to purify our desires, to really want to connect to Krishna, to really, really want to go back to him. So let's continue reading. Text 16. Swayam dhanurdvari nidhaya mayam bratuhu puro marmasu tadito ape sa itham atyulbana karna bane gata vyatho ayad urumanayanaha. Thus being pierced by arrows through his ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, Vidur placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. He was not sorry, for he considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. Now, what would we have done if we were in Vidur's place? How would we have reacted? You know, would we have defended ourselves? Would we have, in fact, started offending Duryodhan more and Dhritarashtra more? What would we have done? You know, something to think of. A pure devotee of the Lord is never perturbed by an awkward position created by the external energy of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 3.27, it is stated, Prakrite kriyamanani gune karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. A conditioned soul is absorbed in material existence under the influence of different modes of external energy. You see, the way we are so entangled, we can't even think that we are the soul. Okay, we hear it, but it's so theoretical, you know. We are so much influenced under this external energy, under the modes. We're thinking we are the body. Although we say, you know, theoretically we might say, oh, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. But the way we act, the way we feel, it's all that, oh yes, I'm the body. Absorbed in the false ego, he thinks that he is doing everything by himself. The external energy of the Lord, the material nature, is fully under the control of the Supreme Lord. And the conditioned soul is fully under the grip of the external energy. So what happens actually, each living entity, we are under the control of Krishna. He's all of ours maintainer. So the liberated souls who want to have a direct relationship with Krishna, they are directly under Krishna's control. Then there are some souls who are conditioned souls like us, who want to forget Krishna, who want to enjoy separate from him. But that's not possible because Krishna is the ultimate control of everyone. It's not possible. But because it's our desire to forget Krishna, what does Krishna do? He puts a curtain of Maya, this external energy. He puts that curtain. And then he says, okay, now Maya Devi, you control these people. But she is under Krishna's control. She acts according to Krishna's rules and regulations. Therefore, the conditioned soul is fully under the control of the law of the Lord. But due to illusion only, he thinks himself independent in his activities. Duryodhana was acting under such influence of the external nature by which he would be vanquished at the ultimate end. He could not accept the sound advice of Vidur, but on the contrary, he insulted that great soul who was the well-wisher of his whole family. Vidur could understand this because he was a pure devotee of the Lord. In spite of being very strongly insulted by Duryodhana's words, Vidur could see that Duryodhana, under the influence of Maya, the external energy, was making progress on the path toward his own ruination. He therefore considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. Yet, he also saw how the internal energy of the Lord helped him in that particular situation. So how he's saying internal energy of the Lord helped him? Well, he used this as an excuse to leave the house. So we are all instruments in Krishna's hands. We are all instruments. It's just what kind of instrument do we want to be? You know, it's just that. As we have been saying, that if we have bitterness inside us, then Krishna will use us to give bitterness to others. So like this, Duryodhana is also an instrument in Krishna's hands. And because of his bitterness, his anger, his inimical nature, Krishna used him in this way. So then that acted as an impetus for Vidur to leave home. Otherwise, Vidur would have continued to stay with his brother. But this encouraged Vidur to leave home. That's how Vidur saw it. Oh, this is mercy of the Lord. You know, so each of us is actually an instrument in the hands of the Lord. We should pray to Krishna, please make me your good instrument. Please help me to act as your good instrument, to chant Hare Krishna and to encourage others also to chant Hare Krishna. Otherwise, this human life is very short and it will go away in a flash. You know, and then if we don't try to revive our relationship with Krishna, then again we'll have to take birth in this material world. And if we are getting this knowledge, if we are getting the mercy, then we should spread this mercy along to others, because so many of us, we don't know. We didn't know also anything till the time we got the mercy of a devotee. Somebody said, come, somebody invited us to the temple, or somebody gave us a book or some prasad, or gave us the Mahamantra. So we should try to give this to others also. A devotee is always in a renounced temperament because of the worldly attractions can never satisfy him. Vidur was never attracted by the royal palace of his brother. He was always ready to leave the place and devote himself completely to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Now he got the opportunity by the grace of Duryodhana, and instead of being sorry at the strong words of insult, he thanked him from within, because it gave him the chance to live alone in a holy place and fully engage in devotional service of the Lord. The word gata vyatha, without being sorry, is significant here, because Vidur was relieved from the tribulations which trouble every man entangled in material activities. Our material activities are actually very troublesome, and yet we enjoy them, like the camel who's eating the thorns. mixed with his own blood and enjoying, That's how our material activities are. He therefore thought that there was no need to defend his brother with his bow because his brother was meant for ruination. Thus, he left the palace before Duryodhana could act. Maya, the supreme energy of the Lord, acted here both internally and externally. Externally, because Duryodhana was acting as a bad instrument, right? And internally, that Vidur saw this as an opportunity, as the mercy of the Lord to leave the home. So she's the same energy. Krishna's energy is the same. Depends on where do we want to be. We want to be with Krishna, then the same energy helps us to come towards Krishna. We want to forget Krishna, same energy helps us to forget Krishna. Like the same electricity helps us to power the air condition and the heater. Depends what we want. So we can stop here. Any questions, comments, anything to add?
All good.
All good. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining it. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.